Hello everyone. Hope you guys are doing great and welcome back to the channel. So in my today's video, I'm going to discuss with you about a company called HOAC Foods Limited. We'll go through their H2 FY26 result. We'll understand what the business does, and we'll go through their concall summary and understand what the management has said. Right. So if we look at the business, right, so they are into FMCG sector, and the main products which they sell are atta, masalas, legumes, cold pressed oils, rice, and healthy grains. So these are the main products. So they sell it, via B2B sales, via through their company owned stores, via through franchises, and they export these products. So that's their main business. And one of the reason, this company is doing well, right? Because the way they have branded their product or the way they make their product is quite healthy compared to the other FMCG products, if you can see, especially their main brand, which is Hariom Atta and Spices, right? The Atta, which contributes to around close to 50% of the overall revenue. They don't add any preservatives and they make it fresh as per the demand, and that's what makes them different from the other atta brands in the market. So that is about their business model and what they do. Let's look at their recent results. So if you look at their H2 FY26 result, the revenue increased by almost close to 86% to around 28.65 crores, and PAT was up by around 66% to 2.45 crores. And if you look for the whole year of revenue, the revenue grew by almost close to around 84% to 48.75 crores, and PAT was up by around 76.44 crores. And if you look at the revenue split, right, so the B2B contributed to around 52.34%. The company owned stores contributed to around 22% of the revenue. Franchisee owned stores contributed to around 19% of the revenue, and export contributed to around 7% of the revenue. And their current capacity utilization stands at around 95% for the current plan that they have. And if we look at these revenue split, right, we need to look at two things. First is the B2B sales and the export. And if we see now, B2B sales is one of the biggest contribution over them, and they started this B2B segment only in the last year, as well as the export segment also they started in the last year. This clearly shows the demand is there, and they're trying to cater to this demand, as well as their current capacity utilization started almost close to full to around 95%. And if you look at their margin, right, so that was slightly disappointing because the EBITDA margin, came down to around 13.95%, and PAT margin was down to around 8.5%. So the first question when I saw this result was the same thing, why they did not get operating leverage and why the margins were down. And when I was going through the con call, right, that was the first question the analysts also asked, why, the profit did not grow as much as was expected, right? So, so for this, the management gave an answer, right? So they explained that as they started the B2B and export division last year, so they could not anticipate the increase in demand prior, because normally in their business, what they do during the season time, they buy these products in advance, the raw materials in advance and keep it with them, so that when the time of production comes, there is no changes in the price. But here what happened, right? Because due to sudden increase in demand, they did not had enough raw materials, and they had to go out and buy these raw materials during the off season, and during which the prices were during which the prices were quite high. And the management said that going forward, it's not going to be repeated again, because that was one off time and they were just starting these two new businesses. Going forward, they'll be able to anticipate the demands correctly and will have the raw material in advance, and they do not have to go and buy out during the off season. And the management clearly said that they'll be able to maintain an EBITDA margin of close to around 15 to 16%, for FY27. So that should be a quite good sign. And if you look at this company, right, it's a small company and it's trying to grow at a much faster rate, right? So what are the things that this, HOAC Food is doing in order to grow and to cater to this demand and to increase their revenue and profit, right? So first of all, what they're doing is they're trying to change the product mix. So if you look at their main products, right, so they are mainly atta, spices, dals and legumes, cold pressed edible oils, and rice and healthy grain, which almost right now contributes to around 90% of their revenue. And what they have started doing is, right, they have started adding new products like buddy, pickles, papadam, and some ready-to-eat products, which are a bit high margin products. Currently, they only contribute to around 9 to 10% of the revenue. But what the management is saying that going forward in the coming years, their contribution to the overall revenue will increase, and which is quite a good sign, right? Because as their contribution increases and as they have a higher margin, the margins will expand and the company will be able to make more profit. So that is the first thing that they're doing. And in terms of other thing that they're doing, that they're expanding their own stores, right? So currently, so they open in this in FY26 around 8 stores, and what they're planning that for the next year they're going to open around close to to s- around 9 to 10 stores. So this is how they're they are planning to expand their own presence over here. And what they have done, right? They have as they're setting up a new plant in MP Vidisha. So what they have done is, right, they have created a new management which will specifically look into the MP and the Nagpur belt area, right? And the other plan that they have told is, right, even in those areas they are planning to open the stores in high end posh areas. So they're not just trying to expand, but they're trying to expand in a very specific and a targeted manner, because if they're able to open these stores in such high-end areas, right, they'll be able to charge a premium and to show the people how good quality of their products are, and which will be able to able for them to get better margins. And in the other thing what they're trying to do, right, they're trying to expand their production capacity, because their plants which are currently in Delhi NCR region, right, they're almost running in full capacity. So they're setting up a new plant in Vidisha MP with which will have a overall capacity of around 50,000 ton, and within an area of 50,000 square feet. So this plan was supposed to be up and running before this year end, but there were some issues, right? So what the management said is, right, the construction of the plant is almost completed by 75%, but due to the recent war issues, there were some changes in the price, and the people who were supposed to deliver certain products and everything, they came in, they went into the renegotiation, and the new prices were agreed, and all these remaining things to construct the plant came later, and they said that this plant will be up and functioning by end of June 2027. So, which is a good sign. And the other thing what the management said is, right, they are going to build this plant in phases. So the first phase, which is going to get completed, will be only for of around 20,000 square feet only. And once this goes up and running, then they will expand it slowly by slowly. And one of the reasons that management gave is, right, because they don't want to make their whole capital stuck at once, and by making the whole plan at once. So they want to allocate some amount, let the production start, and let the money come in, then use it efficiently to increase the overall production. And in terms of export, we see last year they started the export with UK, then they expanded to US, and this year the management has said that they're going to export it to Australia also. And the other thing, what they told about this export business is, right, they are not just exporting because they have to export and show the increase in sales. They are using a different approach. So their approach is safety first approach. So what they are doing is, right, to the suppliers whom they are supplying these products, right, they are taking half the payment in advance, and once the container reaches the wherever they're supposed to reach, they receive the remaining amount. In that way, their whole product is safe, and they're saying the demand is quite good. So they will expand it to Australia, and the revenue will definitely increase for the year of FY27. And in terms of guidance, management did not give any specific guidance in terms of overall revenue, like percentage that will grow by 50, 60, or 70%. But what the management said, right, that the last year was the setup of the B2B and the export business, but they said they are guaranteed that the FY27 revenue and the margins will be much, much better. And I personally expect that they'll minimum, I would say, with the way that the things they are doing, they're expanding their product, and because of the smaller base, I think they can easily grow between the range, their revenue between the range of around 50 to 75% on a conservative side. And if they're able to do it even better, I think they can even grow their revenue by close to around 80 to 100%. So let's see. Management has promised a lot, and actually they're doing all the right things, going forward to increase their revenue, increase the sales and the profit, right? But obviously, at the same time, we need to keep a track on it, because if you see, right, recently the Vidisha plan, which was supposed to start before the end of FY26, got delayed because of external reason, not at company's fault. So at the same time, we need to keep a track of the business to see how well they are executing this plan. if they execute what they are saying flawlessly, then the company should do really well. And if you guys like this analysis, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless.